I don't know if you guys know Joel Webbin. He's a right-wing nutcase, right? He's a Christian nationalist, self-affirmed Christian nationalist. He's telling us that he believes this. He has some opinions on women and how to deal with them. So check this one out. This is from mid-October 2024.
And if that were to occur, and the just penalties were to be enforced, you, the false accuser, is now put to death, and that's a public death.
He's talking about if a woman falsely accuses somebody of assault, basically. He says that the woman should be put to death.
It's a public sentence, publicly carried out. Then the citizens of these United States of America, you know what they would do? Hashtag Me Too would end real fast.
And as we know, Me Too was like a terrible movement, right? That did a lot of damage to society. Why would you want to end hashtag Me Too? It is what exposed Harvey Weinstein, right? Isn't that what it was all about? Harvey Weinstein's how it started, I think. And Bill Cosby and a bunch of really terrible people. Now, I don't believe in accusing somebody and not providing evidence and not, just destroying their reputation with no court hearing or anything or whatever. Obviously, I don't believe in that. Nobody believes in that, as far as I know. They shouldn't. But that's not what the Me Too movement was meant to accomplish. He seems to think that all Me Too allegations are false. You know the percent of false assault allegations? It's crazy low. Let's find out. Hang on. Let's just look it up on the electric internet machine here. Apparently it's a complex number. Okay, yeah, it's apparently a complex number, and it's between 2 and 8%. So what that tells me is that we need to get investigators involved to investigate and verify that all this information is accurate, right? I mean, I think that our judicial system is okay in this area, not top tier, but we can usually suss out when something is false and when it's not, right? For the most part. The problem is that he wants to create a system in which we don't use investigators anymore, or police, or the judicial system, or anything. He wants to create a system where his Christian nationalist framework can control everything. So what's his solution? Put him to death. If there are accusations, put them to death. And that makes it that much harder for people who were genuinely taken advantage of to come out and publicly say it. Now they're afraid that they're going to be put to death, even if it's real, because they're not going to be believed. That's what his system is going to create. And he probably knows that. I would bet money that he knows that.
Fast. How do you false accusing? Playing the victim when you're actually not? You know how to end that real fast? All you have to do is publicly execute a few women who have lied.
That's insane. What is wrong with him? Seriously. That's not even the most insane thing I've heard him say. I've heard him say way more crazy stuff. Anyway, tell me what you think about this guy in the comments. This is just depraved. Straight up depraved. Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hi, this is Andrew. I'm calling from Wisconsin. I called in earlier before, but I kind of stumbled my words a little bit, so I'll try this instead. But what I wanted to kind of talk about was how a lot of pro-Palestinian advocates are in this election trying to get people to not vote for Kamala in this election, because a lot of them see Kamala and Trump as having very similar stances on Israel, which, at least in my opinion, is not the case.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I try not to interrupt these, but how could anybody come to that conclusion? I don't understand. That's wild to me. Kamala hasn't said anything about Israel, almost at all. A few things, I guess. She has never said, I am a Zionist, like Joe Biden did. Everything that she's said has been supportive of ending the conflict. Honestly, it's not even a conflict. It's a one-sided massacre right now. And you know what else Kamala did, just on this note, recently? I thought this was interesting. If you notice, Trump and Kamala almost never talk about Palestine and Israel. Neither of them. It's not very common. But when they do, it's very targeted and specific. They have specific talking points because it's an issue that can hurt both of them. They have people on each side that support this group for that reason or whatever. On the right, people support Palestine because they fucking hate Israel and Jews. And on the left, people support Palestine because they're horrified by what Israel is doing. On the right, they support Israel because it's a nationalist movement, the Zionist movement is. And on the left, people support Israel because there are a lot of left-leaning Jews. Anyway, they almost never talk about this issue, but recently Israel confirmed that they took out the leader of Hamas in Gaza. And I thought it was interesting what Kamala's reaction was to that. She came out and praised the situation, said, "This is great. The guy's gone, and now we can bring this to an end." She created an off-ramp for Israel. You can stop. You did it. Good job. Let's quit. Let's go home and wrap it up. I thought that was an interesting strategy. It seems to me that Kamala is laser focused on stopping the conflict over all else, and she will probably come out with more specific takes on all of that after the election, because it's such a because it no matter what they say, either of them, it's going to hurt them. Does not matter. So anyway, the point is she hasn't said anything about it almost at all. So I don't know how people arrive at the conclusion that she is opposed to Palestine. Additionally, as the caller said, why would anybody think that Palestine would fare better under Trump? What? If you want to help Palestinians, you vote for Harris. I don't understand how anybody could get anywhere other than there. Funk Dragon 76 says she won't do anything. You might be right. She's limited in what she can do, though. As the president, she can advocate for a funding cut to Israel and stop sending arms and things like that over, which I'd be all for. You know what I would do? I would stop all payments to Israel, all payments, everything. And I would pay to set up reinforcements or fortified positions at the 1967 borders and nowhere else. They wouldn't get a dime from me except for defense from the 1967 borders. But that's not going to happen, of course. Either way, she's not going to make things worse for Palestine, like actively worse, as we know Donald Trump is going to do.
Because if you think Kamala is bad on Israel, is going to be bad on Israel and Palestine, she probably is, but you also have to consider the alternative, which is Donald Trump, who has pretty much vocally promised that he's going to nuke any opposition to Israel. So
yeah, 100%.
If you're pro-Palestine, I won't shame you for not voting, but I would just consider voting for Kamala just because she is going to be much better than the alternative. She probably won't do good with Israel-Palestine. She'll probably mess some things up, and she probably won't be perfect. But she's going to be much, much better than the alternative.
100%. And there's a subreddit, r/late stage capitalism, that is, it seems to me like custom created as Russian propaganda. Like it's just a full-blown effort to prevent people from voting, from discouraging people from voting and everything, saying, like, you'll get banned from the subreddit for saying something tantamount to Trump is worse than Kamala. The subreddit is all about reinforcing the belief that they're both equally as bad. It's insane to me. How did you get there?
That's really all I wanted to say. Sorry if I rambled on too long. Have a good day.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call. A really interesting subject. Absolutely nuts, man. Absolutely nuts that people would hold these positions. I don't get it.
Hi, Owen. This is David from Kentucky. And I thought I might bring this up to you because I just saw this recently on Dead Domain. He did an interview with Steven Anderson's daughter. She's on the run from her crazy religious family. And I thought I might say something about that to you, see if you could spread light to see if you can possibly help her in any way. You might want to check out Dead No Main's video to see all the details, but it's pretty crazy. I know that you talked about your abusive upbringing when you were growing up, so thought you might be able to help. Anyway, love your videos. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I did. I heard about the Dead Domain interview with Miriam Anderson, is her name, Steven Anderson's daughter. That being said, I support her getting away from her family, but she still believes in all of the same stuff. To my knowledge, she is currently dating, or she was very recently dating somebody that was a Steven Anderson fan who asked Steven Anderson for his permission to date Miriam. And then Steven Anderson gave the permission. So she's still a complete nutcase. And I support her getting out of that, but I won't support her financially. She's still off the rails. So anyway, yeah. Also, I did cover that. I talked about the whole video, I believe, on my Unfiltered YouTube channel. Owen Morgan Unfiltered should be releasing. By the time you see this, it'll be out. Anyway, yeah, thank you for the voicemail. Also, Philip Schwartz, thank you so much. I'm voting for Kamala because with Trump, we get fascism. Yeah, 100%. That's what it's about. Absolutely. We've got to fight this at every turn. We have to fight this. I don't get how people can be so completely backward ridiculous to believe that they're the same. Like, what?
Hey, Owen, Bernie. The other day, Donald Trump gave
Boy, this audio is rough, but I thought it was an interesting call, so.
a speech about his stupid coin that he's trying to print. And if you look very closely, he's standing in front of not just one, but 4 American flags with the gold border all the way around them.
Donald Trump? Interesting. I didn't notice that.
That gold border, they say, is a sign of Admiralty Court, and it's a sign of the corporate America.
So a flag with a gold border is a sign of corporate America and the Admiralty Court? Is that what it is? That's really interesting. I mean, I'm sure that I and the caller both recognize it's just complete bullshit, but there's certainly like a basis to this in QAnon, right? Like QAnon is going to go wild with this, I bet.
Court, and it's a sign of the corporate America. So Donald Trump is standing in front of those flags. Johnny Enlow needs to
Enlow's a QAnoner.
see that video because he swears Trump is the common law president. Check it out.
That's really interesting. I did not know that Trump did that. Yeah. Well, if it's beneficial to the QAnon movement, then they'll run with a conspiracy like nobody's business. But if it's inconvenient, they'll just pretend it's not happening completely. They're suddenly the biggest skeptics on planet Earth if it's not convenient to their beliefs. Just wild stuff, man.
I'm beginning to feel like a stalker. I'm Judy from Georgia. I'm 76 years old. I'm a Democrat, and I just wanted to tell you how much I love your video.
I appreciate that. I mean, I don't think you're a stalker as long as you're not like waiting outside my house or something. No, that's good. I appreciate it.
Watch them. I watch every one of them. Thank you so much for, keeping it real with religion. I'm a Christian myself, but I get where you're coming from totally. I appreciate you and look forward to your videos. Take care.
100%. I appreciate the call. Glad you like my stuff. That's the I actually get a lot of calls from people that are just, they just want to say they like my stuff and that's it. And I don't usually put them on air because I figure they're just for me, but be aware that I'm hearing them. I do hear the messages you're leaving if you're saying positive stuff or whatever. 1-800-701-8573. Give me a call there. Anyway, thank you, Judy, for that. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're watching.
Yeah, I just want to point out something that I noticed. I really think a lot of these right-wing politicians are saying Kamala's name as Kamala just so they can get the whole word association with Kabbalah. I honestly would put it past them with how much they try and use flippy stuff like that. Love your show. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought about this, and I have an opinion on why right-wingers keep saying Kamala rather than Kamala. Here's what I think. 5 years ago, when Kamala ran for VP or whatever, I'm sorry, ran for president and then became VP, I thought her name was Kamala also. I didn't realize it was pronounced differently. When I figured out it was Kamala, I just started pronouncing it correctly. Like, it's not like a pronoun or some other. It's just how her name's pronounced. Like, okay, I figure out their name's pronounced Jimmy instead of James. There are a billion examples of names being pronounced differently. So, okay, I figure out her name's pronounced this way. I start saying it. In my opinion, I think that right wingers are saying Kamala intentionally because they don't want to, because they want to piss people off. I think. I don't think they have any underlying intent or any ideology tied to any of that. I think they just want to piss people off. I think they just don't want to change, so they're not going to. That's what it boils down to. It's the same reason they about left-leaning people using pronouns correctly, like nonstop. Like, they just cannot shut up about that. It's the same thing, in my opinion. Anyway, yeah, I really appreciate the voicemails to everybody. And that was a really interesting one. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments.